When discussing the first video game actually licensed by the World Wrestling Federation, or World Wrestling Entertainment as it's now known, most people are quick to point to WWF WrestleMania on the Nintendo Entertainment System. For many years, I too assumed it was the first video game to don the WWF logo. However, that's not the case. WWF WrestleMania was the second licensed game on a home console, the first Micro League Wrestling. A turn-based strategy wrestling game that was released in 1987 for the Commodore 64 and Atari ST, and then again in 1989 for Amiga and DOS. The game featured two wrestlers on the first side of the original disc, pitting the immortal Hulk Hogan against the Macho Man Randy Savage. The game could be played with a mouse, a keyboard, or a joystick, and matches could feature a 10, 20, or 60-minute grudge match as selected by the user. And there's also an option prior to the event to name the arena in which the match is being hosted in. Now, I would have been about 5 years old at the time when this came out, so having all of this text wouldn't have made for a great experience if I wasn't able to read. And truth be told, at that age, I can't remember if I could yet or not. That said, being able to see digitized screens of my boyhood hero Hogan sure would have been cooler than anything I'd experienced outside of watching him on TV each week. The game starts with Hogan and Savage each going through an interview with Mean Gene Okerlund prior to the start of the match. Howard Finkel, the ring announcer, even makes an appearance. He introduces the wrestlers, at which time you learn that this match is for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Savage makes his entrance first, accompanied by the First Lady of Wrestling, his manager, Miss Elizabeth, and also a pretty faithful tune of Macho Man's music. Hogan enters next, and while both wrestlers get introduced, their music and photos are pretty much all you get. Once the match starts, you're greeted with announcers Vince McMahon and Lord Alfred Hayes in the lower corners of the screen. Each wrestlers then select an attack from a list of specific moves for their character. Each will take a turn selecting one of those moves, and through a formula, strategy, or by complete random, one wrestler's move will be deemed a success, and a short shot-by-shot cutscene will then showcase the move, with the announcers providing text commentary below. I'm not sure how the gameplay gets executed exactly, but according to the truest source on the internet, Wikipedia, here's how it works.
The game uses turn-based strategy, as players choose a move from their wrestler's arsenal as their opponent does the same, and depending on the situation, one move will be successfully done. Each wrestler has 5 basic moves, which cause 2 damage points, 4 major moves, which cause 4 damage points, and 1 super move, which cause 6 damage points and is the only way to attempt to pin the opponent. Each wrestler also has a block option, which if done successfully will remove 2 of their own damage points. In addition, babyface wrestlers can attempt a special move in which they rally the crowd to gain momentum and recover some of their damage. Heel wrestlers can attempt special cheating tactics, but this runs the risk of disqualification.
It's very slow-paced, and the match clock accelerates in real time, with the average match taking around 15 minutes. The entire presentation is actually pretty well done, and the authenticity is better than most WWF games would see for years. On the other side of the disc, Hogan has the option of wrestling Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, again in a championship match. There were also a pair of expansion discs released a year later in 1988. There's not much more to be said about Micro League Wrestling. For its time, it displayed the most authentic representation of WWF television, featuring the biggest stars in the industry. Most never played it though, due to the fact that not everyone owned a home computer of any sort. That same year, however, with the rise of the Nintendo Entertainment System, wrestling fans received a home console release that received the first real mainstream attention, and a game that most associate as the first real WWF licensed video game.